Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's Kirk webinar. My name is Alec Cooley, and I'm the program manager for many of Kirk's programs, and we welcome everybody to today's program. Before we jump in, I'm going to go over a couple of housekeeping items about today's program. The topic is recycling collection logistics at college campuses, and we're going to be hearing today about how two universities manage the flow of recyclable materials on campus from the different aspects. This is a free program of the College and University, excuse me, a free program of the College and University Recycling Coalition's webinar series, which is designed to highlight innovative campus programs and provide trends and perspectives on a broad range of operational, educational, and other topics. This is the third of 6 programs that we're doing in 2017. We'll have more information to share about upcoming programs at the end of this program. Before we get started, I want to recognize a few folks. First, I'll start off with our promotional partners, Keep America Beautiful and ASHE, the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability and Higher Education, for their help in the planning and promotional support of the overall series. I also want to thank our sponsors who have made today's program possible, Bush Systems and Recycle-A-Way. We'll hear a little bit later from Bush Systems, but I want to share just a quick note of introduction to Recycle-A-Way. Based in Brattleboro, Vermont, Recycle-A-Way sells a wide variety of recycling and trash bins to meet university and other institutional customers' needs. From special events to sports venues to office workstations, you can find bin styles to fit every situation for your needs. Recycle-A-Way is honored to be a sponsor for the Kirk 2017 webinar program. Kirk is a pioneer in the greening of college campuses across the U.S. Keep America Beautiful is a key change agent in increasing public space recycling. And Bush Systems, finally, is our amazing partner in supplying recycling systems to colleges and universities across North America. Recycle-A-Way would like to thank everyone for participating in today's webinar. So I'll go over just a couple quick technical housekeeping notes. If you, for some reason, have any technical problems with the GoToWebinar system, they do have a live technician who can help you by dialing their support line at 800-263-6317. I'll also point out, as you can hear, we have everybody's lines on mute today. We do that to keep the background noise from disturbing the program, but we do encourage everybody to submit questions that you have during the program. You can do that by looking at the dashboard for the GoToWebinar, which typically is on the right-hand side of the computer screen. You'll see where it says questions. You click on the plus sign next to that, and you'll see how that opens a chat box where you can type in your question and submit that. I will be monitoring these questions as they come in, and as we're able to, I will go through those and voice the questions out loud for the presenters themselves. For the most part, we're going to save questions till the end, but I encourage folks to submit them throughout. And if we have time, following some of the programs or some of the presentations, we'll go through some of those questions then. So today we have an excellent program. We're excited to welcome John Pepe, who is the general manager at UMass Amherst, as well as Bill Stonecipher, who manages the recycling and solid waste for Loyola Marymount University. We'll also be joined in between by Mandy Belarusha from Bush Systems, who will be telling us about their new resource center. Before I jump into it, though, I want to we want to go to a polling question to learn a little bit more about all of you as in our audience and see what type of programs, how do you guys do things on your campuses. So you'll see on your screen where there is the question, who handles recycling collections from the centralized dumpsters, compactors, carts on your campus? And what we're going to want to know is basically for the material, once it gets to the dock and it's leaving campus, who handles that side of things? You can see there's 4 preset options. We'll take 20 seconds now. Just go ahead and click the one that applies to you on your campus. If none of these do, just leave them blank. And In another 10 seconds or so, we'll close this and we'll be able to all see the live results. Great. So we've got all the responses. Julia, do you want to? Okay, and here we go. Here's the response we're hearing from everybody, and it's an even mix. It looks like roughly 29%. It is campus facility staff who are doing that internally handling material, and another 32% are working with their hauler. And then it looks like combination of above is for we have a fair mix as well. Great. So with that, let's go ahead and move on to our first presenter. I'll welcome John Pepe, who, as I mentioned, has served as the General Manager for the UMass Amherst Office of Waste Management, Moving and Surplus Property since 1997. He previously worked for 8 years with the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection and for 2 years with the Cape Cod Planning Commission. John is a 1978 UMass alum of the Social Thought and Political Economy program, and he received his master's in urban and environmental policy from Tufts University in 1986. And with that, I will welcome John.
Thank you. Good day, fellow panelists and participants. Thanks to Julia and Emily of KAB, or CORC, and to Alec for inviting me to present our efforts at UMass today. Okay, I want to make my clicker's working. Okay, how's the volume? Okay. So we're going to talk about efficiency and performance measures and improvements in university waste collection as we do them here at UMass in recent years. This is a picture of our collection, waste management collection and processing staff sitting in front of the facility and truck scale. I'm going to be trying to cover a number of different areas, not terribly deeply here, but we can follow up with questions. Generally focus on operational productivity and cost savings in collection equipment, processing equipment, and overall system design. How we use our campus trash transfer station for efficiency and widening our disposal options, keeping them open. What we do with waste composition data to understand both what's still left in the trash and what we're sending both to MRFs and to composting facilities, and how that sort of instructs us about what to do going forward. The move we made to single stream, some of the ups and downsides of that move in 2012. Our efforts with onboard truck scales this last year on our 5 Packer trucks to get a better idea of campus generation patterns and with accurate numbers for weights of recyclables and trash generated by different buildings and departments. An effort to value cost, not just cost, but net energy use and greenhouse gas emission impacts of our operations and project choices and directions going forward. And finally, a waste computer model that models our waste system that helped show us the priority or document the priority need to get more recyclables out of the dorm trash stream over and above starting a new compostable collection route in the dorms. A little bit on the campus. We're a little city sitting in the western counties of Massachusetts, about 2 hours west of Boston, about 2 hours east of Albany, and our closest city, half an hour away, is about 110,000 people. So we're a little city of our own, 35,000 students, faculty, and staff, about 190 buildings. There's about 150 stops we do to pick up those buildings. A lot of construction in the last 10 years, probably 15 new buildings, thanks to the state legislature, replacing old ones. And we just got 2,200 beds, 2,200 new student beds on the campus in the last 5-6 years. Being out where we are, there's not so many service providers banging at our doors. There's also contextual information. There's a substantial bureaucracy in this university institution that we have to deal with, and collective bargaining environment means we have to kind of go slow and careful on labor matters. Glimpse of the trash flow. It's naturally starts with dorms and academic buildings and administrative buildings, picking up in wheeled carts. We use Schaefer carts. They are tipped by these trash packer trucks. I'll start using my mouse. Into 18 cubic yard trash packers, same trucks for recycling and cardboard, single stream and cardboard. The trash dumps daily about 4 to 6 tons into this trash transfer facility that's on campus. It's a compaction, enclosed compaction station. I'll talk about it in a minute. Goes from there kind of illogically to another transfer station 15 miles off campus. It was kind of a fluke of a bidding process that the company that won the bid also was using another transfer facility. And from there it goes to a landfill, state-of-the-art by Massachusetts standards, which are pretty tough, about 40 miles away. A little bit about departmental roles. You don't have to read all the fine print. I'll summarize. I mean, naturally, the Office of Management, Waste Management is in the center of things here. It's what we're charged to collect all materials from outside of buildings. We've historically done most of the education and outreach, purchasing all carts and collection equipment, and managing waste vendor contracts. We are working with Academic Custodial, a sister agency department that takes desk side desk side recycling and single stream and gets them to the outside of the buildings for us to pick up. They do not get involved in enforcement or sorting. Residence Life does a similar thing in their own department. They're in the 50 dorms or so, collecting from trash rooms and getting them outside to buildings. They're doing more now in the realm of educating students and meeting with students in the dorms to get better recycling participation. That's all I'll cover in this slide. Our storage, processing, and shipment operation. This is about collection, but this is integral to an entire system and is integrally related to a collection system. We have the benefit of being able to bring our materials to a facility 1 mile outside the center of campus where we have 18,000 square feet to work with and 8 acres. And the function of the facility is to, it's the beginning and ending point for all of our collection routes, starting and ending point every day for our collection routes. We aggregate our loads here for trash and recyclables. We bale, we wash our toters, we shred confidential. It offers us a lot of flexibility when we're trying to figure out ways to deal with new materials or new ways to deal with old materials. All vehicles coming into the facility travel over this Rice Lake scale from 2010. We installed it, replacing an older one that will handle up to 100-ton loads. The scale readout links to a Carolina Wasteworks software where we track customers, weights, dates, and trucks. And so therefore it can understand the flows coming and going on the campus of the different materials. There's 30 to 50 vehicles a day come over this. Maybe a third of them are our own vehicles. Some of their tandem trailers going out with electronics loads or cardboard or toner cartridges or whatever it is, fluorescent tubes. We often also get a lot of little loads, pickups and vans coming from Res Life and go back, and from the dorms and from the dining commons. So that's the scale. This is where the weighmaster sits. The scale's right here, and they communicate via an intercom, and here's our software program for entering all the data. Trash transfer station was built in 2004 here for about $150,000. As the local landfills closed, we're looking at what our options were, and we definitely did not want to send packer trucks that get 5-6 miles a gallon long distances to disposal facilities with possibly 2 operators in them. So we built this facility. It's working well. Vehicles back up and dump into this area here. This is the upside view of this cage here. It's a wind cage or a litter cage to keep windblown litter from blowing around as we dump the packer trucks. There's 4 or 5 of those packer trucks will dump into here before a transfer trailer is filled. The transfer trailer gets 20 to 24 tons. So there's been some mechanical issues, but not very much in the course of, 13 years now. A little bit more on the WRTF. About 2/3 of our waste comes through here, both trash and recyclables and compostables. We use 40-yard roll-offs. They're usually backed up inside of this, up against the dock there. There's a grade separation, and our packer trucks dump the single stream down into those roll-offs, and then we use a backhoe to densify, consolidate those loads. So we go from like 3 single stream packer truck loads to 1 roll-off load, which we ship about 18, 20 miles to our local MRF. collection approach and equipment, again, we do all of our own collection. The only material that's not collected by these 18 cubic yard packers is food waste. I'll hit that in a minute. Outdoors, we use these Do More trash containers. There's probably 500 of them out on campus. We actually just took over the collection of them from the landscape services crew. They're very expensive, but they look nice and they meet the campus beauty standards, or whatever you want to call them, campus standards. Custodial, these are the containers, Rubbermaid 3541s, blue for the recycling, gray or beige for the trash. Hopefully always keep the restrictive lids on them, that are used in the higher volume areas, public spaces, classrooms and auditoriums, and maybe copy rooms. Custodians take these and the desk sides, smaller 2956 desk sides, load them into Schaefer carts, and those are dumped by our Perkins cart tippers on our collection vehicles. The only other kind of container that's of importance is, and there's about 15 different locations on campus, more and more as time goes by. We have a very aggressive auxiliary services department that serve retail, fast food, cafes, luncheon places, and this is the attempt to capture the almost exclusively compostable packaging that they use. There's a few items, candy wrappers and chip bags, that they haven't gotten around yet. These work somewhat well. We're at risk. Sometimes we have to throw out what people put into them. So our food waste is collected in toters, is the only cart that we use on campus, and that's used for, it's the only toter cart we use on campus is used for food waste, because they have caster carts, and we're not aware of any other manufacturer of carts with 4 wheels and caster carts. So you got a 300-pound, 350-pound load of food waste. You don't have to tip it backwards at that weight and hurt yourself or spill it. So you roll it along. They go into box trucks on lift gates or off a loading dock, get brought up to our WRTF where this food waste compactor sits. It's a 35 cubic yard compactor, ships about 3 times a week during the school year at 10 to 14 tons to a farm composting operation about 20 miles up the road. This was the number of toters we were doing back in 2008. And before we started using biodegradable bags in there, we use Nature Bags by Nature Tech, I believe is the company name. We're up to about 90 toters a day campus-wide. They don't all come up to our facility, but that's about how many we're handling. The other ways we collect, about a third of our trash and compostables on campus are collected in 11 trash compactors and 2 food waste compactors in different parts of high volume places on the campus. You can see the food waste compactor here. This is brand new. It's a 15-yard container. We couldn't keep a bigger one around because we'd have odor issues before it actually filled, and the jury's out right now on whether we'll get through many summer weeks without odor issues. We've got an ozonator on this to cut down on odor generation. So that food waste is collected that way at this dining common. There's a single stream and a trash compactor. The advantage is 24/7 coverage and access for maintenance staff in the buildings, custodians, less noise than our packer trucks backing up, backup alarms, just the diesel engines, but you have less control over your waste stream and contamination with this. And there's more outlay of cash, as I'm sure you know, to pay for the rentals and hauls of these containers. We've also tried, when we started a new mega waste contract with one company back in 2013 that took care of all our disposal, all our hauling, and all our equipment rental, compactor rentals, we decided to go with this Waste Edge, or the contractor picked this brand, but we wanted a compactor monitor. Looked good on paper as a way of controlling. See, what it does is it gauges from the pressure in the hydraulic system of the compactor how full the container is. And when it's at 80%, it sends email messages out to whoever you ask it to the hauler, to your waste management office, and maybe even to somebody in the building. Look good on paper, but turns out, I mean, we knew it wasn't, we didn't even put them on the low volume sites that ship once a month because the fees for this don't justify it. But on the heavy volume sites where you think you could benefit from it, it turns out we really wanted to stick with regularly scheduled pickups like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, or every Thursday, because you don't want to get stuck, having a load picked up on Tuesday, and then the next time it's full is on a Saturday or Sunday when the facility is not open. When the disposal facility is not open, the hauler is not working. There's also issues of people parking in front of these, and if they know it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they keep their cars out of them. A little bit about education and outreach. I can see my time is getting scarce here, so I'm going to kind of brush over this. Wasn't asked to talk too much, but I just want you to know we do work on our education. We just revamped our webpage. This is deep and rich with information about where, why, how to recycle, the destination of our materials, benefits, environmental benefits, and history. We use both types of signage that are argued over, whether you do images or words. I don't think it's one or the other. Words appeal to some people and work for their understanding better, and images work for others. This is a typical trash room installation with the image poster. This is a campaign back in 2000 when we really emphasized education and outreach and trying to make an impact on our not satisfactory participation rates in the program. We did our Mount Recycle More and bus advertising campaign. The mascot on campus is a Minuteman, the Revolutionary Minuteman. This one's a silly one. And the slogan is, "Take a Minuteman, please recycle." We had these inside and outside the bus. Same time we did a $5,000 campus-wide dorm competition pizza party contest. We don't do that every year. Data collection and performance measurement. All this is nice, efficient equipment, good scope of materials, but the proof is in the pudding. And we try to do a lot of waste sorts, at least 1 or 2 a year, usually 1,000 pounds or more, 20 or 30 toters spread out from different generators around the campus. This is improving now. I think our single stream, this is showing combined single stream, mixed paper and bottles and cans, about 14%. We're probably in the 10 to 15% on average in academic administrative areas. Food waste, 10%. It's getting up there these days. Next sort is within dorms. There we're a little bit worse. Bottles and cans and mixed paper, almost 20% here and here. Food waste and packaging is approaching 20%. Liquids is not good either. Where did that go? 8% liquids. Stupid to spend money on liquids, but we don't have real good ways to cope with that and get people pouring them out before they dispose of their containers. In an effort to understand our generators and where the material is coming from and who's doing good and who isn't, and maybe to have data support for campus competitions on recycling, we want that better data than volume-based estimates for what we collect from each department or each building. So after consulting with some of the people who've been trying that already, Harvard, Yale, UC Santa Cruz, we went out and did a bid and installed 5 onboard truck scales about a year ago. One of them is an underbody scale installed on our cardboard truck. That is working well and reliably. And the others are cart tipper scales, such as what you see here on our trash trucks and our single stream truck. Here's our Perkins cart tippers. Each cart tipper has 2 load cells. This is a load cell. It slides down into this cavity between the hopper of the truck and the cart tipper, and it uses stress readings on the cart tipper, on the apparatus, to generate weight numbers for whatever pickup you just did, the toter you picked up. That's the brains of the unit, and it sends information to the meter, and from there on a modem to the cloud where we get our data. The operators can monitor this meter to see what's going on. Aside from a spreadsheet where you can just see a list of everything, every toter that was picked up by customer and time of day and what truck and material, you can also do stuff like this and run a report on the truck and where it was all day long, starting from our facility up here all through the campus. It leaves the breadcrumbs on your map for the stops, and if you stop on one of them, it's not live here and interactive, but you stop, it'll tell you the time and location. The flags will give you weights and materials and customers. Just about productivity in general. This is about labor productivity. We want to know where we get the biggest bang for the buck with our labor in making decisions going forward. and setting priorities for how to improve our collection productivity. Here's the tonnages collected in fiscal 16 for each material, food waste, single stream, cardboard, and trash. Here's the labor equivalent, full-time equivalents, 2 staff, 1.5, 2.15. Tons collected per full-time staff member, annual cost of labor for that material, and dollars per ton cost of labor for collecting that material. These are high numbers, I know. Cardboard, luckily, you knock off $100 a ton for the value of revenue we get from the bale cardboard. The operators are maintenance equipment operators with Class B CDLs, hoisting licenses, and forklift certifications, unionized, and there's overtime work on weekends, quite a bit of it, and so that inflates our numbers a bit. Finally, right around my 20 minutes here, I just wanted to mention our efforts in the last couple of years to take advantage of the academic expertise that's there and student enthusiasm. We work with a program called the Integrated Concentration in the Sciences, where they put together teams of competitively chosen students who work in teams as sort of consultants on and problem solving, and real world problems, in this case university problems. So we asked them to create a computer model of our UMass waste system that looked at economics of the system, the energy consumption, and greenhouse gas emissions by phase, by collection, by processing operation, and by haul and disposal. And it's still in the works, but it's already, proven some. I have sheets, if we get to it later, that show you some of the inputs and assumptions and all the data analysis that was done. But last thing I will say is that we got some key important findings from this. This is just the images and schematics of what they were tracking and trying to understand, both energy, here's BTUs, here's carbon, and here's cost of the system. We had an instinctive expectation and sense that if we had to choose between expanding our efforts to capture recyclables in the dorm system or to start a new collection system to collect compostables, food waste and compostables from the dorm, we already had an existing single stream route. It made sense that it would cost us less and involve less labor and fuel consumption to go with the recycling, but we didn't have the documentation, and this model really documented it. In particular here, this is showing emissions, metric tons of carbon equivalent. Base case, it goes to the landfill, 197 metric tons. This is for 100 tons of, when we pull out 100 tons out of the 200 tons of single stream or 100 tons out of the 200 tons of compostables that are in the dorm trash still, you go from 197 metric tons carbon equivalent emissions to negative 138 on the single stream. It's a 300-ton swing between the single stream option and starting a new collection route for compostables. So this is kind of valuable documentation information. I think with that, I think I've covered all these points. Do I have a second here? I'll just say,
yeah,
I'd
say, John, go ahead and take a few more minutes. You have a few more minutes if you'd like to finish.
Okay, I'll just say one thing about one of the things on my list here that I didn't really talk about is our move to single stream in 2012. We were kind of riding a wave of momentum towards single stream that started on the West Coast and finally made its way to the East in the second decade here of 2010 or so. And our DEP officials were supportive of it. The Waste Management, the operator of the MRF, was pushing for it. It seemed like it was going to help increase capture of materials, participation rates, and save a lot of collection money. Well, we did eliminate an entire collection route. Before, we had the truck go to 150 stops with 2 drivers and a belching diesel truck, unfortunately, once for bottles and cans and then back again for paper. So we eliminated one of those routes and saved ourselves maybe $30,000, $40,000 in labor. We also reduced our recycling revenue from the MRF, partly because of market conditions, but also just because it was less valuable material and problematic material. So we lost probably $30,000, $40,000 in revenue. And there was no measurable increase in captured materials from going from single stream to, from dual stream to single stream. I think I'll stop there and just leave it for questions. Okay, thank you.
Great, thanks, John.
Yep.
That was great. So with that, let's go ahead and we'll move on to our second polling question now. If we can get this set up. You see, so with this question, we're asking, are recycling and trash hauling managed from the same department and budget? So yeah, the idea is to get an idea of where schools have integrated systems. So if all that's being managed under one budget, one administrative approach, check that option, and then if not, check one of the other options that you see here listed. We'll take another few seconds to folks to respond. We'll take one question just while we're waiting for folks to respond to the poll. John, there's a question from Marie. How much was the Weighmaster scale again? Why did you decide to purchase the scale and go that direction?
I think you're talking about the onboard truck scales?
Mm-hmm. I think that is the question, yes.
Not the big stationary truck scale that we have at our facility. I think if they're talking probably about the onboard truck scales, the underbody scale system that we put, and that's sandwiched between the packer body of the truck and the chassis of the truck. We have that on our cardboard truck. That was about $18,000, and we're happy with the way that's working. The cart tipper scales, there's 2 load cells on each cart tipper and a lot more electronics, etc. And those were about $22,000 a piece per truck, I should say.
Gotcha. And another question from Brandon: with single stream recycling, are you having problems with glass? Has that been a concern? Glass breakage, lowering the quality value of the material?
Well, you know what? I wouldn't know exactly. We don't have a lot of glass, partly because we're a bottle bill state, I think, and there's an emphasis on aluminum and plastic, and people scour that and scavenge that out of our materials. So we don't have a lot of glass, but there is glass. We would have to. I think the MRF operator might be having issues with that, with their end users and the paper mills, but we're not privy really to that information.
Gotcha. Okay. Good. Let's go ahead and move on to the results of the survey. You can see here, it looks like just over half that trash and recycling is all being managed under one integrated system. So that's good to see. And another 16% are under the same department, even if they're being managed separately. Good. Well, with that, let's go ahead and move on. Before we go on to Bill's presentation, I want to welcome Mandy Bortolucci from Bush Systems, who's going to tell us about their new resource center, which they're just now launching in the recent months. And with that, I'll hand it over to Mandy.
Absolutely. And before we get started, thank you so much for letting us be a part of the program today. So you may know Bush Systems for our recycling containers, but I would like to talk to you about the Resource Center today, and hopefully some of you have had a chance to check it out, but if not, hopefully you will after we do a little presentation today. So a little bit about the history of it.
Here, hold on to this if you get a chance.
Are you on?
No, I don't think so.
What happened? Why can't I hear it?
I don't know. I'm still connected.
Go.
Yeah. Yes. Well, hello.
Hello, sorry, I just had some feedback there. We are good to go?
We're sorry. Bill Stonecipher will be right back. We just experienced a power outage, so we're trying to reconnect everything right now. So if you could just give me 1 minute, and Bill will be out, and hopefully we can continue.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello? Alec, are we good to continue?
Mandy, if you can hear me, you can go ahead and continue now.
Okay, wonderful. That's great. Okay, well, as I was saying, a little bit about the history of the Resource Center. So about 10 years ago, our CEO, Craig Bush, had the idea to provide, funded by us, a high-quality portal for recycling information, that kind of thing. It didn't really go anywhere until about 2015. Our team got a hold of the idea, and about the same time, we found that our clients were asking us and looking for tools to track the success of their programs. So about 2 years of research and design went into the Resource Center, and we just launched officially on April the 26th, which is fantastic here. And I'm unable to click forward here, so I might have to, here we go. So what is it? It's a free application. It always will be free, and it's designed to improve collection programs. In many cases, the algorithms that went into it were custom designed for the Resource Center, and it's the first application that we know of that helps track collection at the station level. So that's a really important note that I want to point out today. It's at the station level. And what it does, it provides statistics on diversion rates, collection streams, amount of money saved, as well as the positive impact of recycling on the environment. And like I mentioned, to our knowledge, there isn't any other application like it on the market right now, which is kind of neat. So today, just based on time, I'm unable to give you a full demo here of what it does, but I have captured some screenshots to give you a little bit of a taste of it. So this right here, this is your login page. So this is where you would go access from our website to sign up and guide you through the onboarding process here. So the Resource Center, it's bright, it's intuitive, it has been designed to make complex analytics easily digestible for the average person. And I'm saying that because I know my audience today that you all have a very advanced understanding of these concepts. The analytics will live up to your level of understanding, but the beauty of this program is that it translates this information into a format that can be shared and, more importantly, understood by both you, the advanced user, and whomever you might need to communicate that info with. That link on the bottom, which will be shared afterwards, is, of course, how you get to the registration page. So this is our dashboard. You would see this every time that you sign in, and this is only a snapshot of some of the areas of calculation that we can do. So highlighting a couple here is diversion rate, your net savings, net cost, your total amount diverted, etc., your top stream weights. And as you would scroll down this particular page, you would see some of those environmental things that we talked about as well. The interesting thing here, or a question that we always get, is yes, we do actually tackle the issue of contamination. That in itself is a whole other presentation, which I don't have time for today, but it definitely is something that took a lot of time to figure out, and you can do that here. This dashboard and the resource center itself runs on data. So how do you get there? I'm just going to show you the first couple of steps that you might do. In particular, the resource center is great for all verticals, so schools, warehouses, offices. I'll give you an example. Our local school board, they have 150 schools, so we're setting up an umbrella program for them, and all 150 schools will be under their sustainability department so they can see and monitor, which is kind of great. So this screen that you're seeing here, this is your introduction, how you would set up a program division. Now this would be up to the user. You may choose to set up your division by building, floor, area, or even whole cities. We just were at a conference for municipalities in our area, and they're going to be using this program around Ontario, which is kind of exciting for us. So in this case, you see that we've chosen the cafeteria. We've called it the cafeteria. Population, this is 150. This is more for your traffic. You know, if you know that you're getting 200-300 people through one particular area per day, that's what you would put in the population, etc., and where it's located. So it might be just the campus or within your town, again, however you might be using that function. Once you've done that, you want to create your station. So we feel that by providing a free program, it doesn't matter what bins you already have in place. The Resource Center is designed to work with those bins. It doesn't have to be Bush Systems bins. That would be great if it was, but it doesn't have to be, and we really just want people to use this program to create more data and improve their collection. So this screen here shows you how you would set up a station. So let's say you've got 3 streams. So it's a drag and drop. So you can see over here on the right-hand side, you would add say your cans and bottles. You might add an organic bin and create one station. So in the case of the cafeteria, which we just looked at, you might have 5 or 6 different stations. So you would create a station for each area in the cafeteria, and that would all be collected together. You're going to name it. You're going to give it a code if you see fit, and so on and so forth. And then once you've done that, you would do your audit. So just a note here, folks, is right now, yes, we are on a paper system here, but we are currently beta testing the next phase, which will all be online. Our custodian is going in our building. He's using it on an iPad. The school board that I mentioned, we're going to be beta testing with them. I actually will have probably a fairly good introductory case study by the end of the year, which will be interesting. And the next phase here is going to be internal tracking. So we will have the technology that the bins will be able to provide the information. That technology, as many of you might know, is already out there, but it will be available to work within the Resource Center. So it's pretty exciting technology. So once you've done all of that, you're going to input your data. So this is a screenshot of what that might look like. So again, if we're using the cafeteria as an example, you can see that you would be inputting that it might be 50% full. In e-waste, it's 75% full. You can indicate if it's been emptied or not emptied, and the time. If your custodial staff might be using the system, that's a secondary way that you might be able to track how often that they are emptying the bin. So you can see that, you know, if it's not filling up, maybe they don't need to empty that bin quite so often, etc. And down below here where it says no history found, of course, once you start inputting the data more often, it'll start tracking that station's history. So you can actually start to compare which ones might need to be filled more often, etc. Okay, so we're back to the dashboard. So as you can see, again, you can go by building, by floor, by area. You're inputting all your data, and the Resource Center is doing the work for you. If we look at the diversion rate, which is the peaks and valleys there on the graphing chart, this is kind of a neat tool because it does have an area that you can make little notes. So an example might be, say, Frosh Week. Maybe there's an outdoor event and there was a higher number of plastic cups that might have been generated. That's going to demonstrate itself in the peak. So you can go in there, write a note. So when you're looking at your quarter or your year, you can say, okay, well, that date was an anomaly because of this, which is kind of a neat function. Again, I will point out that we're only just the tip of the iceberg, all the calculations that this program can do. But the other side of it is on the left-hand side, you can see that we've added a couple more tools as well. So there's a whole recycling for kids, there's recycling how-tos, current facts, there's a geothermal map which will work as more people input their own data, there's a rewards program, and a knowledge base. So eventually, as we get further along in this program, we will have contributors who will be submitting their white papers, etc. So again, just reiterating that this is a free program. I highly encourage you to sign up and check it out, in particular for you folks, because you know, we know that as advanced users and that you are working within you know, these calculations every day. You may love them, you may hate them. All in all, it definitely makes everyone's job easier. It will help improve the Resource Center, and hopefully, you know, if there's something or a tool that you're really looking for, maybe it's something that that we can work on to share with you. I'm just seeing a question here. No. So the question here that I'm getting is if the data collected is sold or given to third parties. Absolutely not. Of course, we are collecting the data, and what we are going to be doing with that data is keeping it to put back into the Resource Center. It'll go back into the geothermal mapping. So, for example, we're located in Barrie, Ontario. As more people around us, let's say those 150 schools that I mentioned, as they add their data and that goes into our system, you should be able to go in, look at that map, see how that school board or school district is doing locally, and compare it to, say, a school board or school district in British Columbia that might be doing the same thing. But again, to reiterate, absolutely not. We are not selling this information to a third party. Your rights will be protected, and it can be as anonymous as you want. Eventually, in later phases, you might be given the option to share between schools, or for example, if two offices wanted to have a competition with one another, they would have the option to share and be able to see one another's collection rates. But no, we take everyone's privacy very seriously, and it helps us make better decisions and a better Resource Center at the end. So again, it's a big topic. Please get on and explore if you like. If you sign up by June the 9th with the promo code listed there, you can receive 5,000 rewards points, which can go towards, you know, t-shirts and eventually bins if you like, to be transparent, of course. And June 21st, we are fully open for consultation and onboarding assistance. We do have a refuse management specialist coming on board, as well as our marketing manager is one of the creators of this particular Resource Center program. So he, along with myself, will also be at Green Sports Alliance if you want to stop by and say hello if you have any more questions. So again, thank you so much for listening and letting me be a part of the program today.
Great. Thank you, Mandy. So with that, let's just go straight into our next presentation. So Bill Stonecipher has managed Loyola Marymount University's solid waste management program going back to the early 1990s. He was responsible for launching the school's recycling program at that point. Bill is a native of Southern California, and he served in the U.S. Army before earning his bachelor's degree from UC Berkeley. He worked for the County of Los Angeles Public Works Department and California Department of Agriculture previously, before starting with Loyola Marymount in 1991. Bill was also a founding member of both the California Collegiate Recycling Council and of CURC. So with that, Bill, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Alec. I appreciate that. Alec, on behalf of LMU, we wanted to thank the College and University Recycling Council, the webinar sponsors, and of course the webinar partners, particularly Keep America Beautiful. Alec and Emily over at KAB did a lot of the nuts and bolts groundwork to make this webinar possible, and we're extremely grateful for this opportunity. I don't see a slide advancer here, so I'm going to ask you to go ahead and, oh, I got it now. Thank you. Going back to our first slide, if we can. Thank you. I'm going to ask you to take care of the slides for me. Loyola Marymount University is an urban campus. We're 5 minutes north from Los Angeles International Airport. We're a smaller campus, but we're in a high-density urban setting. And we're very happy to report that after 25 years, we've transformed recycling into the most cost-effective method of solid waste management. And we didn't get there overnight. I think that's the good news for anybody struggling to go in that direction. We did have a vision at the start of our recycling program, and it was kind of a Robert F. Kennedy-esque type of vision. We didn't imagine what was possible in terms of what was out there, because when we started, there wasn't even curbside recycling in Los Angeles. But the teeth of our state recycling legislation fell hard upon us as a private university. The Jesuits kind of look at education and all aspects of education, and certainly recycling services fell within their purvey. And we kind of conceptualized a system in a perfect world and then went after it. And I'm proud to report that today we have virtually no trash cans or recycling bins at LMU. What we have is these waste recycling stations you can see in this slide. And I think that they were fundamentally helpful in our quest to achieve a Recyclemania title. But by giving users a recycling option at the point of disposal, we have a very high recycling rate here, and we're hoping that can climb even higher. If we can go on to the next slide. We're on the verge of a solid waste management fee Armageddon here in Los Angeles. The nation's largest landfill, Pewaukee Hills, closed a couple years ago. And as early as July 1st, we're going to be starting the LA City franchise. And for Loyola Marymount, that virtually doubles solid waste prices. Interesting to note, our fee right now per ton to get rid of organics is about $24 a ton. That's going to go to $93.50 a ton in less than a month, and that represents a 285% increase. More importantly, the rental fees for equipment compactors are really very high under the franchise agreement. So LMU now owns its own equipment, and we're perfectly positioned to deal with this major change in our economic atmosphere impacting waste disposal. But it's really important to recognize that solid waste management fees in a growing nation with diminishing landfill capacity are going to continue to spike upwards, and that's going to make more and more things possible. So keep that in mind as we go on. Next slide. I wanted to bring this resource to people's attention. The EPA has this nice resource about solid waste management and greenhouse gases. If you need any more reason to justify a recycling program, this outlines very nicely that most recycling options produce less GHGs than waste management activities. So I put a chart up here directly from this publication, but it's a great publication, and if you're working on GHG issues, there's a lot of justification to go in the recycling direction. Okay, some of the things that we followed, some of the tenets that were huge in our success was, whenever possible, build on existing systems. And, you know, I go all around the country and I see, you know, custodians taking out material, and right next to them a recycling program worker is taking out material. And I really feel as if we're duplicating service routes and activities. And if it's possible, try to build on existing systems, you know, negotiate with your program stakeholders. And I think most importantly on the front end, you need a waste hauling contract that maximizes recycling and lets you translate that into cost savings as they occur. So anytime you have a recycling victory, a reduction of waste via recycling, if that could be translated into dollars, and I think a good way to do that is to base your front-loading systems on the cubic yard system. The containers that you use are either 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8 cubic yards. The whole industry is based on that. When we were a front-loading campus, we did that. And with one phone call in 24 hours, we could change the number of containers at a location, the size of containers, or the service frequency of the containers service at a location. And this really helped save money on hauling, and it really gave the recycling program clout. The recycling program started saving hundreds of thousands of dollars annually, and that always gets the attention of your administration. Union issues, this is a big one. A lot of times the custodial delegates that you're talking to really don't have a good understanding of the issues. And oftentimes these issues are just reduced into a bullet point. But I think if you have something like a white paper that really tells, in the recycling era, we're not asking custodians to take out hundreds of tons of material over and above what they were disposing. We're asking them to take out the same amount of material in maybe a few different colored bags. And I think explaining to them that just as important as recycling is source reduction, overall their job is going to get easier from a waste and recycling point of view. So these are important points to make. Otherwise, recycling becomes just a negotiating point that you add dollar signs to during negotiations, when really we're freeing up custodians to maybe do other tasks by creating less waste. When I change slides, there's about a 5-second delay. So if you guys over at KB can change slides for me, I appreciate it. We're really going to be talking about collection logistics here, and let's get into it. If we can have the next slide. Thank you. Most folks are using a modified curbside system, using front loaders. Front loaders are uniquely American. We love our front loaders in this country. In California, the California League of Urban Cities tells us it costs over $400 an hour to keep these front loaders on the road. So whatever you're being charged has to represent their operating cost. And we're talking about wages, insurance, depreciation, maintenance, all the stuff that goes into maintaining a truck on the road. Next slide, please. At LMU, early on, we recognized that our campus was a pedestrian-oriented campus, and we needed recycling in places that front loaders couldn't get to. And we wanted to have a nimble system that could effectively service our campus. And we did come up with a system that looks a lot like the 4 pictures you see in the lower part of this slide. I think the great thing about our system is that it's quiet, so it doesn't make the noise of a front loader, so we can go by classes and residential facilities early in the morning. And I want to take this time to point out the compactor in the lower left-hand picture. That's an auger compactor. Auger compactors are great. They've been around for about 20 years now. Unlike a ram compactor that compacts at 3-to-1, an auger compactor compacts at a ratio of 7-to-1. So if you don't know about auger compactors, look into it. They have no hydraulics, and this one's a ground dumping auger compactor from our partner Sanitec. It's a great unit. We routinely have a tough time keeping green waste under the 12-ton maximum in an auger compactor. So think about that statement, because most people are lucky to get 4 or 6 tons of green waste in a 40-yard open tub. Next slide. This is how we do it. From a solid waste management point of view, we have a series of containers, and these containers are highly mobile, and we're able to field 12 different individuals going in 12 different directions using non-street legal utility vehicles. And we do it for less than the hourly cost of one contract solid waste front loader. So we can put 12 people on the road each hour, collecting in 12 different directions for less than the hourly cost of a contract front loader. And that's significant, because we can outperform a front loader on our campus, both economically and operationally. Next slide. If you take a look at this, you'll see that we have students in our operation. My force structure right now is 12 full-time employees and 6 part-time students. And when the part-time students are here, they do the same thing we do, because they've had the same training that we have. They serve a year-long tour of service, and I've got to tell you that they really enjoy it. People love their tour here in recycling, and it's become a sought-after job here on campus. Next slide. Again, the waste recycling station era has been great for us. The one in the main picture is two waste and recycling stations put together, and this is for our multi-storied low-rise residential facilities. That's a trash chute room right there. That door frame leads to a trash chute. This is an upper room, and on their way to the trash chute, they have a recycling option right there. So these have been great to driving up recycling rates here at Loyola Marymount. Next slide. This is what we service our waste and recycling stations with that are external. This is the picture on the left is us investigating this several years ago at Disneyland. Disneyland uses the same system. And then in our system, on the right-hand side, you can see we usually tow a 2-yard container. These ones right now are outfitted with a solid waste container and a cardboard container, which also collects office paper. At Loyola Marymount, anywhere you see a solid waste container, there's probably 2 recycling or cardboard containers right next to it, and those collect cardboard and office paper that the custodians bring down from the facilities. Next slide. We used to have these recycling bins, and we would put a blue for bottles and cans out there and a gray, and over time, aesthetically, they just didn't work out that great. But it was a good way to start our collection, and by doing a direct exchange, we always ensured there was a clean product in the field, and that's really important. We're a perennial top 10 most beautiful campus, and you can't be that if you have dirty recycling containers all over the place. So sanitation, a high level of sanitation, allowed the LMU recycling program to proliferate into every nook and cranny here on the LMU campus. And what's great about that is when you look around at LMU, the first thing you don't realize is that you're surrounded by recycling bins, but you are. Next slide. For recycling, a lot of our bins, like the bins I was showing you in the residential low-rise facilities, they still have toter roll carts in them. So we're still moving toter roll carts around, power washing them before they go out, maintaining that sanitation. We also have several of these large 20-yard containers, our trailers you see in the lower right-hand side. They're great for student move-out, collecting cardboard and other recyclables. A lot of our stuff is multi-purpose. Next slide. In our plant, we try to take our material and maximize it. Here's a snapshot of our plant just a couple days ago. We're exiting a cardboard bale and getting ready to do another material. Next slide. One thing I wanted to say about our recycling facility is, like John's was a converted equestrian facility. Ours is a converted parking structure, and I think converting facilities for waste management activities is great. It seems to work really well. I think that by putting everything on wheels, our loading conveyor on the right-hand side is on wheels, our sorting table is on wheels, we can use our space for different things, and we are constantly doing that. Next slide. Baling materials has been one of the greatest victories for LMU in terms of recycling in the history of the program. Here in LA, we can get free transport for baled material. That's how bad the industry wants it. And, you know, I wanted to kind of say a few words about single stream. You know, when the haulers get us involved in single stream, I think they're forever putting a price tag on that single stream to be transported and tipped. Whereas pure recyclables, you can get rid of them at a profit and oftentimes transport them for free. I received pricing this morning. Right now, white ledger for us is at $240 a ton. Color ledger is at $160 a ton. OMP without inserts is at $110 a ton. Sorted office pack is at $160 a ton, and corrugated cardboard is at $150 a ton. Here's a number for you. Mixed paper is at $80 a ton. So if we had a lot of operational concerns and didn't have time to sort material out into grades because of commencement or something, we could always just package everything as mixed paper and keep material moving. Keeping material moving is even more important than producing a profit in our program because we have limited space, and campus service always takes a priority over revenue. Next slide. We use a host of different haulers. What this slide is showing you is we don't have a recycling contract with one company to take our pricing away. What we do at Loyola Marymount is we pre-qualify vendors. Excuse me. We pre-qualify vendors, and when it's time to get rid of a load of white paper, we just look to see who's the highest cost for white paper, who's the highest return on OCC Select. And in this picture, you'll see a bunch of different front loaders from a bunch of different pre-qualified companies. And by not having a contract and just having agreements, we're able to take advantage of spikes in the market for various commodities. This is all part of making recycling the most cost-effective method of solid waste management. Next slide. We're always doing odd jobs around campus, and this next section, since it's about collection, is kind of going to focus on some of the special tools we have. Right off the bat, I need to tell you guys that these Linde forklifts are taking over the recycling industry on the West Coast, and we're buying I've got a couple, and they're great because they have no brakes, they have electrostatic drive. This one we bought in 2011, and I don't think it's ever had a major breakdown. And it's just a better mousetrap. So there's enough about that, but check out these Linde forklifts because it's not your father's forklift. Next slide. Wanted to show you that more and more locations around Southern California, now that prices are going so high for solid waste management, are starting to use the LMU model. This is Santa Anita. They've visited us probably over 10 years ago and developed their own trainable container system, and they're taking these to compactors, and it's working out real well for them. Next slide. Again, special tools make this job possible. This is a tool we bought that turns our forklift into a limited lifting tool. Next slide. One of the best tools we have is this pan. It looks like a giant dust pan, but it's key to so many things. You can see this dust pan is like a ground loading tilt hopper, and in the upper left-hand picture, you can see it dumping a load into a roll-off. It's a great tool. It's a great tool. Next slide. This is segmented containers, and they're really a neat tool. We have 8 of them, and 4 of them can hook together and form one roll-off haul. So if you have different commodities, brown glass, green glass, copper, and alloy, you can put those together in those 6.6 cubic yard boxes, hook 4 of them together, and make a trip to the recycling center, maximizing your hauling revenue or your hauling expenditures. It's been a good thing for us. Next slide. We have some of the best drivers on campus, but again, here's another one of those 20-yard trailers coming in with a load of cardboard. And we have probably the lowest clearance of any transfer station in the world. We have an 8-foot ceiling, but all of our equipment's custom designed, and we seem to negotiate it with no problem. We've got so good at it. What was a handicap initially is barely noticeable week in and week out. Next slide. You know, the recycling era allowed us to take a look at solid waste management from top to bottom, and even things like our enclosures were upgraded now that they came under the purvey of a solid waste management and recycling office. So all aspects of the university are constantly undergoing a process improvement. We're trying to aesthetically raise the bar, and I think our external trash enclosures that hold solid waste management and cardboard containers are not excluded from that exercise. I think we got more accolades for making pretty enclosures than probably for any other aspect of our program in terms of infrastructure. Next slide. Here's my team getting ready for commencement, setting up for commencement on graduation morning. We do all special events and as well as solid waste management and recycling. And we service special events from a recycling and solid waste point of view, and that's over 5,000 events a year. The picture in the upper right is our equipment stage during graduation, and right after graduation, we're going to go out and clean up you know, hundreds of pounds of confetti and other recyclables that our guests leave. And this is just a snapshot of a graduation team and their equipment pre-staged, getting ready to clean up in the wake of graduation. Next slide. Badging is important. I think you have to have consistent badging. This is some of our early badging, but getting our message out there on our equipment was probably the easiest way to get free advertising. And I think if you look around, schools have really taken this to the next level. We're excited whenever we see this. Again, with solid waste, with organic disposal going from something like $24 to $93.5 by July 1st. We've been making some inroads in establishing a campus-wide composting program, and you can see some of our initial victories were cutting waste streams in half at various kitchens. So this is something that we were very proud of. And I just want to say a little bit about all these systems. When you put all these systems together, they make a comprehensive solid waste management and recycling service section that can deal with any issue on campus that falls into those boxes. We routinely do ground support when they're doing lawn renovation. We routinely support new construction and renovation. We're an organization that's able to provide 100% of the university's solid waste management and recycling needs. And I think as we go on through the 21st century, this has to be a goal. As solid waste prices climb and as the cost of contract services go up, please investigate dual stream in-house services, because for us, hiring, you know, a dozen people and a few students is still hundreds of thousands of dollars cheaper than our area rivals. You know, schools in this region that 25 years ago had 30,000 undergraduates were paying something like $400,000 annually for solid waste management. Fast forward to 2017, and some of them are paying $3.25 million for comprehensive recycling and waste management services. I would suggest humbly, at those prices, you might be able to do a better job yourself. But it does take vision, and it does take somebody to pilot this effort over time. And one of the things I would like to see is solid waste management and recycling leaders' compensation go up, because we have high turnover in a lot of these jobs, and you're never going to build a program unless you make a commitment to a person, to the right person that has the right vision and the right skills to get you where you need to be. And, you know, now sustainability is one of the top 5 items that incoming students are considering in a university or a college. So it's never been more important to have a good sustainability program, and you cannot have a good sustainability program unless you have a kick-ass recycling program. And our recycling program hosts 30 or 40 classes a year. They tour our recycling center both from on and off campus. It's become a part of the educational mission. And then people see my operators all around campus. They almost become invisible because they're part of the campus dynamic on a daily basis. But because they don't make a lot of noise, it's very unobtrusive, very unobtrusive. I want to thank you. If you have any questions, please direct them to me or to Alec for this webinar, but I wanted to just let you know you can see more of this on our YouTube channel, LMU Recycling, 2 words, and there you'll see a lot of our daily operations, and we're putting more up every day. And we're hoping that some of our systems might be right for you. And while all colleges are different, I've been hearing that for 25 years, I stand here saying we all teach, we all have, or some of us have on-campus residence, we all serve food, we all have a bookstore. I would submit that we're more alike than different. And I do think some of these answers are universal and probably applicable at most sites. But if you can take 1 or 2 systems away from today's webinar from either U of Mass or LMU, I think today's been time well invested. But I wanted to thank everybody for this opportunity, and LMU remains available for your questions going forward. So good luck. Recycling is a path to a better tomorrow. Thank you for watching.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Bill. That was a great presentation. So with our remaining time, we're going to go ahead and move on to questions and answers. And so I want just to remind everybody, if you do have a question and want to ask that of the panelists, go ahead and use the click on the question plus sign on the dashboard, and it opens up a chat function where you can type that in and submit that. And we'll go through and read those that we can get to. We have a number of questions to get us started. So I'll start off with a question for Bill, since we're just finishing up your presentation. But we had an immediate one from Jenny asking, what is the name of the vehicles that LMU uses as opposed to the front loaders?
Yeah, there are several, but the primary vehicle I'd like to share with you guys is something called the Taylor Truck by Taylor Dunn. It's not even in their catalog. If you look in their catalog, you will see a 36-volt vehicle, and it says, talk to us about options. They also make that in a 72-volt vehicle, which can go 11,000 pounds. So that's significant. Silent electric vehicle that can use a renewable source like solar to charge, and it can pull 11,000 pounds. That is the Taylor Dunn Taylor Truck in 72 volts.
Got it. Great. Thanks. And here's a question directed specifically to Bill, but I think this is also, John, this is a fair question that you can jump into. But the question about your programs, are they financially sustainable? Are you able to cover all of your operational costs through either the revenue from scrap sales or from avoided disposal fees? Can you talk a little bit about that side?
John, may I just jump in?
Go ahead.
John, I just want to say that I kind of resent that question, not from Jenny, but from all of us, because before we even started recycling, we were paying for solid waste management. And somehow in the recycling era, the revenue and the avoided disposal costs are supposed to greatly eclipse that number. I'm happy to say at LMU, recycling is the most cost-effective method of solid waste management. That means we can't take out the trash any cheaper than comprehensive recycling. But does the recycling revenue cover all of our costs? No. What our program is saying is that the regional contract option would be 4 or 5 times as much in total of what we're paying when you consider operating costs, disposal expenditures, and salaries. Thank you. Well,
if it's my turn, I agree with Bill about recycling not being a revenue enterprise primarily. It's a waste management option, and it shouldn't be expected to pay for itself any more than trash disposal. We all know that. Our revenues are substantial, but they're nowhere near, maybe 5–10% of all our waste management costs. Some of our items could go out and are totally managed, like food waste, under the cost of trash disposal. And others don't. But in some sense, we don't have a choice at UMass, because the state has a waste ban program in place that has listed an entire long list of materials that cannot go into landfills and incinerators in the state in anything other than de minimis quantities. So we have to run those programs whether they're cheaper out of pocket or not. But one final factor is that cheaper to who? Is it cheaper to the institution or cheaper to society? Landfilling and incineration costs and charges are not covering the full cost to society. Recycling goes a lot further, and composting goes a lot further to paying full cost than trash disposal.
Great, thanks. John, here's a question specifically from you, from Emily. Going back to the digital map that you were showing, can you talk about the software? What software do you use for mapping the waste stream? Can you talk a little bit more about that topic?
This is the software that's associated with our onboard truck scales. The load cells are manufactured by Loadman out of Washington State. The software is provided by Loadman. It can be housed on a institution server, your own server, or it can be on the cloud. We chose the cloud. They have some parts of their organization that focus on software. I think it might be the part called Creative Microsystems. But the software is pretty good. We have some limitations with GPS accuracy on our campus that might be a little disappointing or not quite as accurate as we expected them to be, but they're generally pretty good. And I didn't say in the presentation, but we're supposed to get 1 to 2% within accurate for the load pickup, so the net weight of what was being picked up in toters and in dumpsters. And we're getting that pretty well with cardboard and the underbody scales. We're running into hurdles and adjustments and recalibrations quite often with the car tipper scales.
Got it. Great, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple questions that have come in and back about contamination specifically, both for the recycling stream and, John, in your case with the organics. But can either of you talk a little bit about steps that you've taken, things that you've found have been effective trying to address contamination, again, for both recycling and for organic streams?
Bill?
Well, one thing I can say is the waste recycling stations in the recycling stream have reduced contamination to less than 3% on this campus. Most of the time when we do a spot waste audit, we're finding about 1.2%. It was the latest one we did last week with an organization called Global Green. But we have very low contamination, and it dropped dramatically when we introduced waste recycling stations, got rid of recycling containers, got rid of trash cans, and offered the convenience of a recycling opportunity at the point of disposal for all our community members.
That hasn't worked so simply for us. I mean, we have at UMass, we have, as a rule, we have a recycling container next to a trash container. In some places, it's recycling trash and compost in food generation facilities. Whether you attach them as one cluster and think of them as a general waste station, or they're sitting side by side, it's pretty much the same concept. And we do get people, walking around the campus, seeing two DuMOR containers. One says recycling next to each other, one says trash, and they don't pay any attention. Overall, our contamination is enough to meet our MRF standards. We haven't had any loads rejected. We need to come in with less than 5% of non-recyclable items. And I'd say we're in that same range with our composting facility, though we get more problems with those retail fast food operations where you have a cluster and people don't pay attention to the signage or don't care, and they contaminate. But we haven't run into operational shutdowns or rejected loads because of it.
If I can follow up, we had our containers side by side, and there's something about a waste and recycling station being in a single cabinet at eye level, the labels being at eye level. We went from something like 9% contamination when waste receptacles were right next to recycling containers. And I don't know, John, something about the waste and recycling station has really reduced our contamination.
Mm-hmm. Eye level signage is good.
There's a lot, there are a lot of different tips, I think, that also get to the behavioral side of how you design bins, just to get people to intuitively do the right thing, even without having to do a lot of direct education. But I know there's some good resources out there, and we've done webinars on this topic in the past. And in fact, I'll use that as an opportunity to make a quick plug that do keep in mind that we record these webinars, and we've got an excellent archive of past programs going back a number of years. So I encourage folks to come to the Kirk website and look through the archive where you can find other programs that address a lot of these same issues. Let's take a couple more questions. I'll take one. Here's one from Michelle. This was specifically for Bill, but again, Jonathan, if it's relevant on your end. The question of enclosures. You showed photos earlier of different enclosures to hide dumpsters from just from public view. But if you found that has raised any security issues, has your public safety ever raised issue about having these enclosures in secluded areas?
I always say the university recycling program here at Loyola Marymount University has no better friend than the LMU Department of Public Safety. And we've partnered with public safety from the beginning, and they've, kept cardboard cowboys from stealing our product and have really done a good job for us. So we haven't had any issues, but it's important to remember that anything in enclosure is not for the public to interface with. That's for our service staff to interface with, and then the recycling team takes it from there. The cardboard containers inside the enclosures, custodians bring out cardboard from the facilities and office paper in clear bags so we can differentiate between the solid waste and the recycling stream. All that stuff goes into the white metal container that's right next to the trash dumpster in those enclosures. So I hope that answers your question. We're a private institution, we're an open campus, but we have high cooperation from our Department of Public Safety.
Well, if I will comment about UMass, our enclosures are high quality enclosures where they are in place around the core of the campus where we're concerned about appearances. There's a lot of them, but there's also places where there aren't enclosures. From a safety point of view, the main concern I think we have is those are well lit for night custodian staff to get out there and see what they're doing. Enclosures are good, but they also encourage people to toss stuff over the top as they go by, and custodians and even our own crews tend to think, well, if it's behind the enclosure, nobody's going to see that we spilled the material all over the ground and take off. We haven't heard much about security issues or safety issues with enclosures.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Well, we have time for one more question before we have a couple closing updates and items to share with folks, but quickly, a question from Christine: is it possible to collect bottles and cans without bags? If not, how do you deal with the issue of bags? And I know this has been a larger issue facing a lot of folks in recent years, with contamination being an issue, and MRFs specifically not wanting the bag liners that are convenient for custodians and others to toss to collect materials with. But how do both of you guys address that issue? Is it a concern with your end markets, and how do you address that?
Bill?
We're making some serious strides. The enclosures you see in our residential low-rise facilities, they don't have liners. We're doing a direct exchange with 68-gallon roll carts there, and that system seems to work pretty good. It reduces the need for a liner. We're also getting ready to go campus-wide this summer on organics composting, and we're envisioning these 18-gallon roll carts that do not have a liner. And of course, we've got some really good wash racks on campus with recirculating water, so even our wash racks recycle and filter the water for reuse. That was all part of trying to go bagless, because in the end of the day, this is all about trying to reduce as much waste as possible and reuse resources that can save virgin resources and help our industry.
At UMass, the bag use is kind of anecdotal or ad hoc, depending on the section of campus and who's running the custodial workforce. We've fought a kind of continuous battle to keep those out of our single stream material because the MRF doesn't want them. It clogs up their augers where they're separating paper from the bottles and cans. Getting limited cooperation from custodial on that. It's more convenient for custodians to go room to room and empty a recycling bin into their custodial cart, which then has to be emptied into the toter, to have a bag in the custodial cart and then throw it into the single stream toter outside. So we're working against the tide there, but so far our MRF has been tolerant of the amount of bags that we have in the waste stream. Actually, composting bags is another story. There's our local farm composter has just received word from a national organic certification association that their organic certified compost, much of which came from our materials, is now going to be losing its organic certification because of the fibers and chemicals left in these biodegradable bags in the compost. So we're debating whether to go back to not using bio bag liners in our compost bins and going back to washing. We're testing that option this summer.
Okay, thanks. So with that, we'll go ahead and start to close things out. I do want to let folks know about a couple upcoming Kirk programs. You'll see here that our next webinar will be on July 13th. This will be focused on the education and outreach student staff engagement, so engaging the campus to improve recycling participation. We have 2 more programs later in the fall on September 14th about measuring the impact from recycling waste reduction, and then as you can see, November 9th focused on the food organics programs. So we encourage folks to stay in touch and join us for future programs. We've shared this previously, but wanted to let folks know again about a special promotion that we are doing right now with Clean River. Kirk is proud to be working with them to offer an exclusive discount on their new Flex E-bin, which is available now. As you can see from the photos, it's a bin style where you can change out the lids and the signage, and it's flexible for different ways that you would use a bin on your campus. They're lightweight bins; they can be stacked, and so they're also very good for special events. So keep in mind as you're getting toward the end of your budget year, if you have a leftover pot of funds, that this is a good option to invest in. You can see we're offering through this offer, there's a 25% discount to Kirk members and to participants of the webinar programs. And for full pallet orders, you can also receive free shipping, but that is only through June 30th. So I encourage folks to take advantage of that. You can get the promo code and all the details from the Kirk website. If folks are not already familiar, I want to point out that ASHE will be hosting its annual Higher Education Sustainability Conference in San Antonio this year in October. You can see that the early bird has already closed, but there is still a discounted pricing available for registration through July 31st. This is a great way to engage with sustainability folks from around the country. They typically attract over 2,000 attendees. So it's a great place to stay in touch and see what folks are doing at universities across the country. And we're also excited in particular about the ASHE conference because we partner with ASHE every year to host our annual Kirk campus recycling workshop. We'll be hosting it this year specifically with the University of the Incarnate Word offsite from the conference, but we'll have transportation back and forth between the convention center. This is a part of the official ASHE pre-conference schedule. We'll have a range of speakers and case study presentations from schools, as well as roundtable discussions. This is a great opportunity to network with other fellow campus recyclers and see what all of us are doing on our respective campuses. So I encourage folks to sign up for that. I'll point out that you can register both through the official ASHE registration system, and we also have a dedicated link for folks interested to attend the workshop only, but not the conference. A couple other upcoming events to let you know about. The California Higher Education Sustainability Conference is taking place again at the University of California, Santa Barbara, and they'll have a specific workshop focused on zero waste at colleges and universities. Green Sports Alliance Summit is coming up. Earlier, Mandy made reference to this. This is a great opportunity to engage specifically around recycling and sustainability for football, basketball, other athletics on your campus. That'll be in Sacramento later this month. And then finally, for just broader recycling industry to learn about trends and some of the things that are impacting and driving the recycling industry as a whole, the Resource Recycling Conference in Minneapolis is a great opportunity to learn more from national experts about all these trends. So you can learn more about all of these at the respective websites that are linked here. And finally, to close off, I just want to thank again our sponsors, Bush Systems, as well as RecycleAway, for supporting the program. Without their support, we would not be able to put on these programs and make them available free to all of the attendees. So thank you to both of them. And also want to recognize Keep America Beautiful and ASHE for their support of the program and helping to pull the programs together. One last time, please thank John, Mandy, and Bill for participating in the webinar today, and thank you to all of you as attendees for coming. We look forward to seeing you on our next program on July 13th. Have a good afternoon.